Hey, it's Enigma Hood. We're still into this Australian television sitcom, whatever, controversy. It's not a sitcom, a skit television show. And there is an Australian YouTube user who has made some comments about the skit, and I felt the need that I have to respond to this. So let's take a look at the video.
Five of them being the Jackson brothers with a bit of black makeup on and some afro wigs. And the fellow at the front doing Michael Jackson actually had a glaringly white face with an afro wig. Now this has caused an uproar in worldwide press. I've been reading about this all day. It's all over MSN. It's all over the internet.
Yeah, rightfully so. It was an incredibly insensitive and racist skit. And the fact that a lot of Australians don't realize it's racist is cause for outrage across the world, because it is racist.
About how racial Australian television is and how prejudiced we are as Australians. And there's even journalists in the UK saying that Australia is the most racist planet, you know what I'm trying to say, the most racist country on the planet.
I don't know if that's true or not. I have no idea about the level of racism that there is in Australia. I do know that white Australians did essentially commit genocide against the native Aborigines that lived in Australia originally. I do know that at one point in Australian history they had a white Australian policy, which was a policy where they would prohibit non-whites from immigrating to Australia. That's all I know, really. I don't know much about race policy or equal rights in Australia, but I do know that Australia has had its run-in with race. I don't really think that it is the most racist country on the planet. That might be going a little bit too far. I think that's hard to quantify anyway. If I had to guess, I would just say America, because America has dealt with racism so much. That's why we have so many laws on racism and hate laws, and we have done so much for equal rights. I think a country that is inherently racist would have more measures in place to protect the minority. That's my assumption, though.
You know what? Fuck you, you pack of fuckheads. You got no fucking idea. This is Hey Hey It's Saturday. It's a fucking comedy show, for fuck's sake. They're doing a parody of the Jackson 5. Okay? Of course they're going to fucking paint their fucking faces black.
Okay, now that right there does not look good for your position. By just going out on a bitch rant and just saying fuck you to everybody, you're not making Australians look more tolerant, more in favor for equal rights, or even not racist. You're just looking like an idiot by lashing out like that. And your last comment that the Jackson 5 was black, that's why they painted their faces black. Apparently, I would assume you have never seen a black person in your life. Black people do not have charcoal black skin like that. Okay, they were exaggerating. That's what blackface does. It exaggerates the features of an African American person. Paints their faces dark black, charcoal black, the exaggerated hair. They don't look human. They look comical. And that's what's insulting about it. So to say that they were being accurate is a completely idiotic statement to make.
5 of those 6 doctors are multicultural. One fellow's an Indian, one fellow's a Paki. They're, for fuck's sake, racists.
Okay, again, you demonstrate your own stupidity. It doesn't matter what the race of the individual performers were. You seem to be under the impression, well, since they're not white, it's not racist. That's a racist assumption right there. It doesn't matter if they were Indian or whatever. A Paki, first of all, Paki is a racist term. You should say Pakistani. Paki is a racist term. You just demonstrated an example of racism. You're not making your position look any better. And again, I'm a South Asian guy. I'm from Sri Lanka. So Indians, you know, we're comrades, basically. We're brothers. But I am still just as outraged by this. It doesn't make a difference that one of the performers or 2 of the performers were Indian. It's still extremely racist.
Ah, for fuck's sake. Now, one of the judges was a fellow named Harry Connick Jr. And Harry Connick Jr. got on his high horse, and they generally give them a score out of 10. He held up his scorecard, he gave them a 0, and then he proceeded to lecture Daryl Summers, the host, how if he'd have known that this act was going to be on the show, he never would have appeared.
Okay, that right there shows your insensitivity towards an American's feelings on this matter. He's not even black, and he's still offended. That should show you that something is wrong. And the fact that you're trying to say he goes on his high horse and lectures, you're trying to berate him for being offended. He has the right to be offended, and you're being extremely offensive towards his feelings and towards the feelings of everybody else that supports equal rights.
Get off your fucking high horse. Actually, you should go around behind your high horse and fuck it, Harry Connick Jr., because that's probably what you're fucking better at. Lift his fucking tail and give him a little licky-licky. You fucking idiot.
He's the fucking idiot?
Racist. What would happen, guys? Let me ask you this question. What would happen if three blackfellows wanted to do a parody of the Bee Gees, eh? And they painted their faces white and put on some wigs, eh? Would they be called fucking racist? No, they fucking wouldn't.
Because you wouldn't be offended. There was a movie, for example, called White Chicks, where two black men, the Wayans brothers, I think that's their name, they did whiteface. And nobody was offended. Now, why is that? Because you're not offended. You can't make somebody be offended by something. White people simply were not offended by that, and neither were black people. It has to do with the history of racism. In America, the majority is white, and the minority are blacks, and other races as well. And in any kind of democratic institution or any kind of country which has any kind of stable government, the majority is in a position to have more power than the minority, so they can use that power to oppress the minority. And as such, there is a history of discrimination against blacks and other minorities. For that reason, when minorities, for example, make fun of the majority, they're just not offended, because it's kind of like the big brother being kicked by his little brother in the leg a few times. It's not a big deal. It's just because he knows that he has more power. That's how the majority is able to oppress the minority. So what can I say? If you people are not offended by this, then how can we take this complaint seriously? You can only bitch about a double standard over and over again, but you can't tell us just because you're not offended by whiteface, we can't be offended by blackface. No, we are offended by blackface, and you just have to deal with it.
You know what? These cunts that accuse everybody of being a fucking racist, you know what? You're the fucking racist cunts. For fuck's sake. Get a fucking life.
No, you get a life, and you're the racist.
It was a fucking bit of fucking comedy, for fuck's sake. Jesus Christ. I'll tell you what, this subject gets me fucking going. Now, I've been accused of being a racist and before, and I've got to tell you, I'm not a racist.
Well, your video seems to demonstrate otherwise, actually. Because what you're saying is not in favor for equal rights, and it's not productive towards equal rights.
I just hate every cunt. All fucking equally, hey?
Shut up. So that's basically it. This guy is representative, I guess, of the ignorance that comes out of a person who's trying to defend racism. Even like I don't believe that this guy hates minorities. I don't believe that. But what he's doing is not productive towards equal rights, which in many ways is just as bad. So you have to realize that equal rights, the fight for equal rights, encompasses many different things, and part of that is being sensitive towards minorities and being sensitive towards what minorities are being offended by.